occasionally troublesome. So I'm trying to make a note, and please don't let me end the meeting without resolving. I think I've done that before. I've been guilty of it. Don't be shy about reminding me. All right, and members of staff are here as well, either in person on Zoom. Perfect. Is there somebody here this evening to do an invocation? Seeing no one, I ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. First item on our agenda this evening is public comment, and we have a couple of names here. First of all, I just want to mention to all of you that we are in the presence of royalty this evening. We have two young ladies who won a fairly important beauty pageant last night, Miss Yakima County and Miss Yakima County Teen, and I think their name, the first one is Audrina Campos, who'd like to speak with us this evening.
Hello, my name is Audrina Campos. I live in Sunnyside. I'm here this evening to introduce myself as the new Miss Yakima County Teen. My community service initiative is internet safety, so I'll be working with the Sunnyside Police Department, and I'm very excited to represent the city of Sunnyside at the Miss Washington Teen Pageant in the summer. Thank you.
And congratulations. Second name on my list is Valeria Lopez.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Valeria Lopez, and yesterday I was crowned Miss Yakima County. I am so excited to serve my community, which is Sunnyside, that I'm representing, and to serve the whole Yakima County. My community service initiative is mental health. I'm planning to create programs and events throughout the whole Yakima County to advocate for mental health because I think it's very important, and I'm so excited to represent the Yakima County.
Thank you. I wish to congratulate both of you. It is quite an honor for you and for our city that you come, both of you from Sunnyside, and it's just awesome. We will want to recognize you in the future with a city pin. And so we will ask you to come back. You kind of caught us unawares. This is all happening last night and we could only scratch up one. So we won't be doing that this evening. We're going to give you a proper pin and at a proper ceremony at a city council meeting. So be on the lookout for that information. I'm sure either the clerk or the city manager will get in touch with you. All right. All right. The next name on my list is Dr. Jim Stevens. Dr. Stevens. Okay, and I do want to remind you, and normally at this point I do read this and says citizens are advised that they must limit their remarks to city council to 3 minutes. Council may refer items to staff to review and or research for presentation at a future council meeting. And yeah, the recorded comments, the identity of speakers and meeting sign-in sheets are public records subject to disclosure under RCW 42-56, and the names of the speakers are recorded in the meeting minutes. Okay, so just for that.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we suspend the rules for the time limit. I don't know if you want to raise it to 5 or just suspend it, period. When somebody comes to talk before council, I want to make sure they're able to say everything they want to say.
Council comments.
Move to 5 minutes.
Second.
Okay, well, we'd have a motion on the floor to suspend the rules first, and then we need to vote on it.
Options up, so I'm just going with the second option.
Okay. I will remove suspend the rules
And go for the 5 minutes?
and go for the 5 minutes.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the 3-minute rule and extend that to 5 minutes. We have a motion by Mr. Beeler, second by Mr. Hicks. Is there debate on this item? All right, all in favor of suspending the rules and exchanging it to 5 minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. 5 minutes will be the time. All right, and Dr. Stevens, you said you wish to defer to someone else?
Yes.
Very good. All right, next name on my list is Monica Niemeyer.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Monica Niemeyer. I'm a Sunnyside citizen. Thank you very much, Mike, for giving us 5 minutes, and thank you to the council for agreeing for that. I had typed up something for about 3, but made some notes for the rest. So hope it all sounds well. So I just want to thank you for giving me a moment to speak. And I wasn't able to be at the last meeting, but I listened to parts of it. And so I'm just trying to wrap my head around why we're at this point of a council versus others kind of environment. I myself have asked questions. I've brought up ideas for solutions. I've asked council to reach out to their resources for a solution. So I feel my frustrations are very justified. Dean, when I hear you state you're going to reach out to those asking questions and we'll follow up on getting them answered. I received an email from Jameson on Tuesday, September 26th, where she copied all council members, the members of LTAC, and an email group called the leadership team. In that email, she tries to explain her thoughts on the points that I brought up at the council meeting on the day before, Monday, September 25th. On Wednesday, September 27th, I replied back to her and all the parties she copied. My reply provided the city records and Washington state records that reflected her inaccuracies while supporting my questions and points of concern. I believe I have asked very fair questions and reasonable questions and provided supporting documentation that a council would want to review and would be able to answer. I have heard nothing back. So where is my call, Dean? The only one actually who has offered to provide me an explanation at all is actually Jameson herself after the council meetings, offering for me to go to her office. While I appreciate her wanting to reach out to answer my questions, it is her own reasonings and actions that she takes on behalf of the city that I do question. So therefore, I would like an answer from the council, not an explanation from her. Now, Dean, the first time you and I talked, it was after the council meeting on September 11th. You told me that Elizabeth had informed you that A&A promotions could not be paid as the insurance was not turned in. I told you that was a lie. You asked if I could prove it, and I said yes. I have a copy of the email where A&A promotions had sent in their insurance. I also told you that Elizabeth was giving you a half-truth. The insurance was turned in, but now it had issues with they had issues with it. You did tell me that is not what they had told you, and you would like to get the proof to get this taken care of. We also talked about my concerns of Elizabeth's half-truths, her tendency to kind of walk on the line of it almost being a lie. Dean, your reply back to me was, Monica, I have known Elizabeth since she was Buffy. I was startled by this, and I told you, Dean, I have also known her since she was Buffy, but now she is city manager, so I do not know what her nickname Buffy has anything to do with what we're talking about. Wouldn't it be easier if the truth was just complete and whole? It would really help everyone, council and citizens included, and Elizabeth and Jameson. Your response to me, Dean, actually floored me, and I'm actually mad at myself for not saying more than just okay at that time. You did not correct me about my concerns for their half-truths and lying. You actually didn't even disagree with me. Dean, your answer was, Monica, I have known Elizabeth and Hal a long time, and she is just like her mother and her mother's mother. How is that an answer, and how is that even fair? Is that really an answer to give a citizen? And actually, how is it fair to Elizabeth for that to be an answer from the mayor of Sunnyside that is provided about her actions? That answer is as bad as the one you jokingly made when people first spoke of concerns about money and you asked, where was your cut? I have said I have asked for solutions of communication. And what has been the answer from council? Silence. Dean and Jim, you both have stated how you've sat on council in this governing body for quite a few years off and on. But where is that proof of knowledge to reflect that? There are many other considerate and more productive ways to address the issues, these questions the citizens have had and about the finances than being quiet and insulting and belittling. You could have explained what enterprise funds are. You could have explained if it's a budget that's zeroed out the end of the year or if it's carried over. You could have referenced previous budgets for clarification to show that is what happens. It doesn't have to be a long discussion. The amount of time you guys have spent not answering and being mad at those who did answer probably would have been plenty enough time. I have asked this about council in that email to Jameson. Is the city right to be allowing a nonprofit to perform? to be allowed to go around. I'm sorry. I'm seeing, you know what? I'm at my 5. I'm good. I'm at my good. I think I'm going to just get more frustrated. So thank everyone for your time. I just want answers. Don't ignore me. I don't get mean. I don't get insulting. I do stand my ground, and I'm entitled to do that. Listen to your citizens, respect them. Use the amount of knowledge and time that you have to hear them. We all deserve that, and honestly, so do you. We deserve to have conversations, not tension. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name on my list is Britton Moore, but you made a note there that you're giving your time to Monica. Okay, then Britton Moore, did you have anything to say or? Okay. Next name on my list is Julia Hart.
Well, that was for the hearing, public hearing, unless you had some.
No, her name's on the public comment sign-up sheet. So Ms. Hart, I've got you on both sheets.
I kind of know where I wrote my names down in both places. And I think I only need 3 minutes too, so I don't overtake time for anybody else. And I would like to say, Deputy Mayor Dean Boersma, I want to congratulate you and the members of the council for your diligence, for your considered opinions and consider research into everything that you do. When you're doing budgets, when you're answering questions of the council and the citizens. I know that it's a tough job, been up there, been where you're at, Dean. And Mr. Farmer as well, who has also been a mayor. I've been up there, so I know that it's difficult, but I do want to say that you're doing a great job. It's difficult in the economy that we have to do a great job because you have so many strings to tie together. But I do want to say that I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name on my list is Sis Kennard.
Thank you. Sis Kennard, I'm from Sunnyside, Washington, and currently the president of the Sunnyside Museum Historical Association, and very proud of that. Thank you. I wanted to take this evening and thank Mike Farmer and his wife actually for coming to my open house and helping me to recognize 3 members who have since turned in their letters of resignation. One of them having served 25 years on the Sunnyside Historical Association Board of Directors. With that, thank you, Mike, very much for doing that for me. It came across a lot better than me just doing it. And I just want to let the council know, because we do have an agreement with the city as the museum, that I'm going to be reviewing those things. We are going to review the bylaws of our association, which have not been reviewed and changed since January of 2016. And they need to be, because if you are going to belong to the association, it currently says that you have to pay $120 a year, or you have to give me 36 hours a month of volunteerism, and I don't see that happening. So we need to revise those bylaws. We also are going to review our agreement with the city to make sure we have that in line. And I'm looking forward to making lots of change. And I know that change is not easy for people. Personally, I love change. I change my hair, rearrange furniture, I would make you crazy. But it's time for change at the museum, and that's what we plan on doing. And it may mean that we will actually not have the museum open for as long as 2 years to be able to go through and do everything that we need to do. So I hope that we can stay in communication and that we can have the city's support of what we're doing as an association. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, that's all the names that I have on the list for public comment. I do want to make one brief comment, and that is I wish to apologize publicly to the museum board for my lack of presence on that evening. I had work that stretched out much longer than I anticipated, and I felt horrible when I was unable to be there. So accept my apologies, please. And then also, I just got a message from Deputy Mayor Restucci. He has been held up at work and is asking for an excused absence. Is there Is that any objection? I'm sorry. No objections. Deputy Mayor is excused. He said he wouldn't be able to get out before 10. I don't think we want to hold the meeting until 10, do we? All right. Thank you all for your public comments and your generous nature of donating your time to others. Keep in mind, we don't always respond at the time, and sometimes we don't have the information at hand. And so sometimes you're not going to get the answer that you want at the time of the meeting. But you can also later on see some of the results, as in the insurance for A&A Productions was resolved prior to the event, and that was taken care of. So things did move, but certainly don't have the information immediately after a meeting. Item number 2 on our agenda, payroll vouchers. Sorry, the consent agenda, payroll vouchers. Approved payroll vouchers numbers 119394 through 119401 and wire transfers as listed for $509,510.17 for the period ending October 10, 2023. Claim vouchers. Approved claim voucher numbers 107577 through 107626 and wire transfers as listed for $130,931.74 for the period ending on October 4, 2023. Approved claim voucher numbers 107627 through 107673 and wire transfers as listed for $499,537.19 for the period ending October 11, 2023. Does any council member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion? Hearing none, what is the desire of council on the consent agenda?
Move to approve this consent agenda.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion by Councillor Beeler, second by Councillor Ripley to approve the consent agenda. Debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes. Yeah. All right, we have a request from staff council to move item C from the active agenda up to item A. It seems that our fire chief is 3 time zones away from us at a meeting and wishes to participate and would like to carry this part of the meeting at the very beginning so that he can, get back on a regular schedule. Is there any objection to that? All right, item C will move up first then, and that item is the new ambulance purchase. Consider authorizing the city manager to purchase a new ambulance. Madam City Manager.
Excuse me, I will turn it over to Chief Hubrick.
Chief. And your microphone is muted. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. First of all, I'd like to appreciate you adjusting the agenda.
Okay, we cannot hear him.
Oh, still can't hear?
So, sir, it shows that your microphone is on,
Can
but
you
we're
hear
not
me?
hearing anything. Pause here while Jackie works feverishly to get this resolved.
Okay. Any luck yet?
There we got you.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, Council. I appreciate you adjusting the agenda. Made the joke about staying until 10 o'clock. It's actually 10 o'clock my time here, so I appreciate it. But as mentioned, we are requesting the purchase of a new ambulance. We did have this on the budget schedule for 2024. Unfortunately, we had a mechanical issue with one of our medic units. It was seen by our city's fleet mechanics as well as oh my gosh, I'm sorry, the Ford dealership. And anyways, I apologize. But it was determined that there's what they're considering catastrophic engine failure. And unfortunately, the cost of repairs greatly exceeds the value of the ambulance, which has about 208,000 miles on it right now, and it's on its second re-chassis. So we have been offered a program through True North, which is a producer of Demir's ambulance, which is actually a similar program to what we purchased our engine through. And so with this, with the approval of this purchase, we will actually take delivery of this fully custom ambulance in 2 months, which is pretty awesome. We will still need to continue through the 2024 budget cycle to purchase an additional unit to continue our replacement plan. But that acquisition again is about a two-year turnaround build time. So this is a pretty unique opportunity that we've been able to acquire with your approval, and we request the approval for that purchase.
Thank you, sir. Council members, any questions for the chief? Mr. Beeler?
Is this just a cabin chassis or is this a complete new ambulance?
This is a complete new ambulance, bumper to bumper. And one thing I do like to mention is that we have, of course, the cost of anything fire related or really anything for that matter has increased. But we have opted with meeting with 4 different manufacturers, and we are going with a slightly different style of ambulance. We have currently owned and operated what are considered type 3 ambulances on a van chassis. But due to our response area, our inclement weather, we found it to be most advantageous and in the long run cost effective to purchase what are considered type 1 ambulances, which are on a pickup chassis, which offer 4-wheel drive and some other enhanced safety features.
Thank you. I thought we did have 4-wheel drives, but we do need them.
Correct. Yep.
Other questions?
I have several. Go back to Councilman Beeler's question. What was the reasoning not to do cabin chassis? And to buy a complete unit?
That is what we've done. We've purchased a complete unit.
I think he's asking why, sir. Why are we buying a complete ambulance as opposed to a cabin chassis to put the ambulance body that we already have on?
So
He said he's going with the 4-wheel drive. You can't use the van chassis when you need a 4-wheel drive apparatus.
correct. And the current box, as we refer to that we have now, has already been remounted. It cannot be remounted again.
Okay.
Okay, the next question I have, is this a turnkey purchase, or are we going to have to purchase some equipment that will not transfer over from our old one to the new one?
No, sir. It is turnkey to the point it'll be delivered with our department graphics, the decals and everything. When it lands on our apron, it'll be in service probably within a couple hours.
Okay, and then the last question I have, trade-in. I did not see anywhere in any of the stuff that council was given what we're going to do with the old one.
So that is because we haven't quite figured that out. We actually just received it back. It had to be towed back to our station. We are currently, for lack of a better term, stripping it, taking off the equipment, including radios, electronics. It's difficult to get to sell or trade in an ambulance that doesn't run. So we are going to have to look at what our next options are to I don't want to say dispose of it, but to be able to do something with it. Because this has been very short term.
Okay, I want to go back to turnkey because you just said something. Are we going to have to transfer our radio system over, or is that going to come with a new radio system in it?
It is pre-wired. It'll be a plug and play with the radios that we already have. We do not need to purchase any new radios.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions from council? Okay, so I have one. We have a lot of members of the public here and they might be interested in hearing. So where is the funding coming from for this purchase?
This is coming out of our EMS enterprise fund. So there will be no need for any sort of financing or anything of that nature. We are going to be utilizing our EMS resource and funds for replacement costs.
Okay, so these are funds that we have saved up for the purchase of an ambulance, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the second ambulance that we're talking about, the one that's going to take longer to build, is that going to be funded from the same source?
I'm sorry, sir, it cut out there. Can you repeat?
Okay, our second ambulance, you said we're going to continue with the ambulance purchase that we'd already talked about for 2024. Is that going to be funded out of the EMS fund as well?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. Further questions or comments from council? All right, what is the desire of council on this item?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councillor Hicks, second by Councillor Beeler to authorize the city manager to purchase a new ambulance. Debate on this item. Hearing none. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Chief. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is a public hearing. And it's a rezone application. It's a closed public hearing, which means no new testimony, or no new evidence can be brought forward, but you certainly have the opportunity to comment. Is consider approving the application requesting the zoning classification of parcels 221-026-14435, 201-26-14438, 221-026-14446, 221-026-14456, 221-026-14457, and 221-026-14458, located in the vicinity of 220 West Edison Avenue, to be rezoned from light industrial M1 to high density residential R3 on the official zoning map. To that end, I'm going to read the correct documentation, and there'll be some repetition, so bear with me. Introduction. This public hearing is being held to receive public comments and recommendations concerning the rezoning of the parcels earlier read: 221-026-14435, 21026-14438, 221-026-14446, 221-026-14456, 221-026-14457, and 221-026-14458, located in the vicinity of 220 West Edison Avenue, to be rezoned from light industrial to high density residential on the official zoning map. Appearance of fairness disclosures. The concern is that this hearing be fair in form and substance as well as appearance. Council members, do any of you have a conflict of interest concerning this issue? Do any of you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this hearing? If your answer is yes, please speak now. Council members, can you hear and consider this in a fair and objective manner? If your answer is no, please speak now. Audience members, is there anyone in the audience who objects to my participation or any other council member's participation in these proceedings? If there are objections, please approach the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and state your objection. Time is now 7:01 p.m. and the public hearing is now open. Hearing procedure. The city manager will provide a staff report on this item. Madam City Manager.
And I will turn that over to Mr. Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Good evening, City Council. Trevor Martin, Community and Economic Development Director for the City of Sunnyside of Washington. And before you, I have exactly what the mayor just read earlier, is a proposal for a rezone of 6 parcels and approximately 220 West Edison, and to rezone them from light industrial M1 to high density residential R3. In the vicinity of the area, it's all currently surrounded by R3 residential with some mobile homes and some multifamily units. This is a non-project action at this point, meaning that there has been no project submitted with it. It is simply just a request of changing the zoning of the current parcels so that they can kind of experiment and play with the different layouts for what they want to build in the future. There is access to Edison directly to the south of this parcel. There's a small portion of city right-of-way that feeds into the parcel. There will be, when a proposed development comes through the counter in the future, there will be improvements that are required along this portion of right-of-way, including improved surface, water lines, sewer extensions up into the site. I'm here for any questions if you have them.
Thank you, sir. Any person in the audience, and I have 2 names signed up, wishing to be heard on this matter, please approach the microphone, state your name, address, and offer your testimony. And I'm not sure which public hearing everyone signed up for. First name on the list is, oh, this is for the ad valorem. I'm sorry. Both of you have signed up for the ad valorem public hearing and not for the public hearing here. Very well. Any members of the audience wishing to comment on this, please approach the microphone, state your name, city of residence, and make your comments. Seeing none. Council members, any questions or comments on this item? Mr. Beeler.
The city right away, is there a road there? Is that an alley or is it just land owned by the city?
It is It is land owned by the city at this point in time. It's probably 20 to 30 feet wide. It would have to be improved pretty greatly. There's some stuff there that's going to have to be cleared out. The neighbors have parked some cars there, and I think there's some other stuff that's in the way. It's going to have to be cleared out before it's used, and it's also going to have to be improved, paved. We'll see what we can do with as far as sidewalks go in the future, going to and from the site, but it's going to take some creative thinking to get access in there, but it is technically there. Yes.
Well, I read from why they want to do this is they're not in, well, the north side of it is industrial, but they're physically in the R1 area, so it makes sense. And like she said, it's kind of worthless land at this time, so it makes sense to do this.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Farmer.
Yes, I believe that in the application for rezone, the bordering neighbors within a certain area had to be notified. Was there any adverse comments to this project?
Nope, this one was very quiet. Yeah, we sent out all of that information was provided to the planning commission. The affidavit of mailing, the affidavit of notice. We held the public hearing. It was very quiet.
Further questions, council? So I have one, this access off Edison Avenue, is that the only access via street to that property?
As of right now, yes. And that could be come into question depending on how many units get built in the future, because I imagine that's probably going to be the next question. So we will definitely have to work with any developer in the future on how many units can be permitted in this area with the access the way it is set up right now.
Yeah, if I have a problem with this, that would be where it is, because, you know, we need to be able to get fire trucks and ambulances in there without any trouble. If we have lots of people living in there, it's going to bring up some congestion. That's been mentioned for other apartment complexes being built, and I think we need to be mindful of that. So yeah, that's something that the developer is going to have to think about when they bring us an idea, I imagine, but wanted to bring up that concern as well. All right, further comments? All right, well, there being no additional comments from the public or the council, let the record show this public hearing is closed and the time is 7:05 p.m. Page back. All right, so no actions to be taken on this at this time. I don't.
Would be a request for a motion to approve an ordinance.
I'll consider approving an application. Sure enough, I just don't have the lines here.
All right.
Okay. Let me get this written out here. All right, so yeah, approving the application. So council members, what is your desire on this item?
Move to approve the application for rezoning.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Beeler, second by Counselor Hicks to approve this application for rezoning. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none. All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion carries. If this moves forward into a development, it's a good place to put it. All right. Next, we have a comprehensive plan amendment rezone application. Introduction. This public hearing is being held to receive public comments and recommendations considering the rezoning of parcels. And I'm going to read a lengthy list of parcels again. Parcel number 221-028-12006, 221-08-12001, 221-028-1103, 003, I'm sorry, 221-028-11002, 221-027-12006, and 221-027-21001, amending the future land use designation from industrial to mixed use and concurrently rezoning from light industrial M1 to planned unit development PUD. Appearance of fairness disclosures. This concern is that this hearing be fair in form and substance as well as appearance. Council members, do any of you have a conflict of interest concerning this issue? Do any of you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this hearing? If your answer is yes, please speak now. Council members, can you hear and consider this in a fair and objective manner? If your answer is no, please speak now. Audience members, is there anyone in the audience who objects to my participation or any other council member's participation in these proceedings? If there are objections, please approach the microphone, state your name, city of residence, and state your objection. The time is now 7:08 p.m. Public hearing is now open. City manager will provide a staff report on this item.
Again, I will turn it over to Mr. Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Good evening once again. So tonight I have before you, it's been a little bit, spent some time on my desk, but this is the application for the Monson site and the future land use redesignation and rezone. So this area is on the vicinity of between Yakima Valley Highway and Outlook on the west side of town.
That was
I check. Okay. On the west side of town, near the highway, exit 63, I believe. So this application has been put forth by the city. We've had some interest in it fairly recently within the last year. And so we have taken some action to rezone the site to PUD, which is planned unit development, that offers a much greater flexibility for what can be placed on the site in the future, but still falls, a PUD also still falls under the discretion of the planning commission or the hearing examiner, to kind of depending on what happens and what that thing happens. So again, still under city's discretion as how it develops, just a lot more flexible on how that development happens. Again, I have before you is an ordinance requesting and codifying the future land use designation and rezone. I'm here for any questions.
All right, members of the public, anyone in the audience wishing to be heard on this matter, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and offer your testimony. I'm sorry, we can't have a discussion back and forth. You can ask your questions from the microphone.
Hello, I'm Ken Knowles and I live in Sunnyside, and that's Munson property. And the right where it's in gray, that's where Munson had their office and stuff at. And that's where the Hayes at. The rest of it on the right side, that's all swampland. So it's going to have some drain tiles and stuff put underneath it and all that, and a lot of filled dirt put in and that, because you'll sink a car out there. So I know about it. I've been there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And they have had to consider all of that in their planning.
Yeah, I'm so sure they did, but I just want to make sure people know about that. That's swampland.
Thank you, sir. Any other individuals wishing to make comment? Council members, any questions or comments on this item? Mr. Beeler.
Do we have any other PUD land in Sunnyside, or is this going to be the first?
No, there's quite a bit. The port controls quite a bit of PUD land over on the east side of town where their offices are. A lot of that is zoned PUD.
Further questions? And as many of you know, what is being called the Munson property for a long time was called the West Sunnyside Business Park. And prior to city of Sunnyside owning it, it was a feedlot. And the city bought it some years ago with the idea of reducing dust and flies in the city. And I think the intention was to sell it rather quickly, but life has a way of throwing curveballs at us, and it didn't sell rather quickly. And we finally have somebody who's interested in developing this property. And the rezoning is a part of that process. So they have had to do extensive samples on the ground. I think anybody who's lived in Sunnyside for a few decades knows about how high the water table is over there. And it can be problematic. And so they're definitely going to have to take steps to do something about that. But thank you for your comments, everyone. Council members, any further comments? Questions? All right, hearing none, this public hearing is closed at 7:12 p.m. All right. Council members, this one also comes with a request. Consider approving an ordinance rezoning these parcels. What is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve the ordinance rezoning all these properties known as the Munson property.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have a motion from Counselor Beeler, second by Counselor Hicks to rezone, or to approve the rezoning for all of these parcels listed currently and previously known as the Munson property. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, no. I also vote aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we've already done the ambulance. All right, now, first of all, I wish to apologize for any confusion here. The manager reminded me, our public hearing on the ad valorem tax was our last meeting, which means we're not having a public hearing on the ad valorem tax. However, council members, if you would be willing to suspend the rules, I have two people who have signed up to have comment at this time. Are you willing to suspend the rules and allow for public comment at this section?
Yes.
yes,
Very good. There's no objection to suspending the rules. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Hart to come up first. Here's first name on my list.
Julia Hart, Sunnyside. The amount of money that we're talking about here, the $225,000 from the increase of from the assessed property tax, the 1%, is less per person, is less than a cup of coffee. I don't care, if you got a $450,000 house, that's $4.50 for a cup of coffee, which you can get anywhere in town. So I don't think that it's going to break anybody. I see like long lines at all of the coffee shops around town. The other part of that is that money is very, very important. It goes into the general fund and it helps with the fire department. It helps with the police department. It helps in the general fund for a number of different things, park and rec. Are just some of the things that helps with. So it's safety and for youth. So I really strongly encourage the council to consider adopting the 1% increase. Every year is about the same amount. So it's not like it's a huge increase to property owners in town, even if their assessments have gone way, way up. That's good for them for their assessments going way up, or if you're doing a resale. But as far as the actual tack to your pocket, it's less than a cup of coffee. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Second name on my list is Britton Moore.
Good evening, everybody. Britton Moore, Sunnyside. Thank you everyone for all your time and effort in helping run our city here. I have to agree with what Julia said. It's not much money. It's not really going to hurt too many people in the end. But it's money that if the city is so fluid, why do we need $25,000? I can just think of a few things here. The police department, gosh bless them, July, August, and September, there was a lot of overtime hours. And it's not because they're being greedy. It's because they just don't have the staff. I got some reports, and this was just for the patrol. It wasn't even everybody in the police department. $160,000 in overtime. It's a lot of money. These guys need to go home at night to their families. June 5th and June 12th, Jameson mentioned that Cinco de Mayo was a huge success. It was in that the police were able to stop some young criminals from causing damage, but it was a financial disaster. We have a Parks and Rec director who got $9,000 in overtime. I don't know for what, but my point is that we can tighten our belts a little bit somewhere. Why does it have to fall on the citizens this time? It's not a lot of money, but for some property owners that have several properties, several businesses, we're just getting taxed to death. I just would like you to consider maybe finding the funds someplace else, possibly. I've got more examples, but I think that you know what I'm talking about, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Council, we heard the comment this evening. We had the public hearing this last regular meeting. Is there, Madam City Manager, is there further comment that you wish to make on this item?
Yes, I actually would. If we do not take the ad valorem this year, it will go into what's called banked capacity. So when I started at the city of Sunnyside, we had years of banked capacity where we hadn't passed the ad valorem. And when we were near bankruptcy in the general fund, we were able to go back and take more than 1% because we had deferred it for very many years. But the reason we were in such bad shape in the general fund was because we hadn't taken that ad valorem year after year. And like Ms. Hart said, it's not a ton of money. And I know with last meeting, very much the council indicated that they would like to support the Miss Sunnyside program. That $25,000 could be dedicated to that program and we could help them as a one-time thing. Finding the money in the budget is not easy. And yes, there's a lot of overtime. It's one thing we should be comparing though is not dollars for dollars, but hours for hours. And the cost of living has gone up. The cost of going to the grocery store has gone up for all of us. And that's the same of all city services. The cost has went up for us as well. And when our inflation is going up 8% and we're only allowed to raise something 1%, we're already looking for money somewhere. We're already trying to balance the budget with a near impossible task. So I would just ask you to consider this 1% increase and that cup of coffee you go get. It's not much.
Thank you. Council, comments or questions on this item? Mr. Beeler.
Well, I've got 2 business properties here in town and I'm definitely going to be paying more. But when I go to Safeway, I'm paying a lot more. When I get gas, I'm paying a lot more. When the chief comes up and says, I need to hire some people, when we need to get the grounds mowed, we got to hire people for it. And they need raises too. Everything goes up. You cannot maintain a city without getting more funds because when we go buy toilet paper for the restroom, it's up. Our power bill's up. Everything's up, just like me and my business. Everything goes up. I have to charge my customers more. That is just how business and government works. I don't want to pay more, but I have to pay more to have the police come over when someone tries to break into my business, to have the fire department come over like they did last week because we had somebody passed out in the RV park having medical problems. To run a city, we have to run it efficiently, but costs go up and we have to pay for it, and we all have to pay for it. I got to pay 2 properties, but I'm going to pay for it. So as much as I'd like to help somebody, if the city shuts down, it's not helping anybody. So we all have to pay our part, I feel, and we all have to pay. And like it said, it's not that much, but it means a lot. If you're looking 10 years ago that the city was almost ready to file bankruptcy, we don't want to go back there again. We don't want anybody around here to file bankruptcy. It's not good and it's not easy. So yes, I'm going to vote yes on this. It's the right thing to do. And with the economy the way it is, we cannot not do it as far as I'm concerned. So I will be voting for it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Further comments or questions? Mr. Farmer.
I have some. I was pretty clear at our last meeting where I stood on this. This tax doesn't affect only property owners. It affects renters because a property owner's tax gets passed on to the renter. I mean, that's just business. I think that with the increase in our property taxes, this is going to allow us to have more money than probably it was planned on receiving from property tax. I think that we could maybe, and I'm sure we can, is relook at our budget. We're not talking huge amounts of money, and I agree with Ms. Hart, and I agree with Ms. Moore, that it's not going to kill anybody, but I think as a city, we need to say, hey, we're looking out for our citizens, and no more than this is, I'm going to look out for our citizens. I don't think I can support this. I have not supported very many of them over the years. And I think that this is one that I just don't think I could support. That's my thought.
Further comments? So I have a couple. One of the things to remember, and one of the reasons that audience members may notice that it is so painful for all of us here in council to talk about this, is because we're voting whether or not to raise a tax on ourselves as well. There's a rule that we have to all be residents of the city of Sunnyside. So if we pass a tax increase, we're passing it on ourselves. And we don't want higher taxes any more than anyone else does. And so that does make it a difficult decision. Like Mr. Beeler, I own 2 city lots and taxes have gone up. The value of those, both of those lots has gone up. I'm going to be paying the state and the county considerably more than I have in the past. And I don't want to have to pay more than I had before. It gets to be a little painful after all, writing these property tax checks out. But at the same time, we all want more public safety. I think half the campaign races out there in this particular campaign season are all focused on public safety. And one of the big struggles that we've had is getting police officers to apply for the openings. All of the openings have been approved, but getting people to apply for the jobs has been the challenge. And why is that? Are we able to pay what other cities are paying? Are we able to sweeten the pot enough to make it worthwhile? We've celebrated over this past year the return, or the past 2 years actually, the return of our youth summer programs, our Parks and Rec programs. And that requires funding as well. And if I remember correctly, and Ms. Horner, correct me if I'm wrong, but increasing this or doing this ad valorem tax is still going to be, once everything's considered, a net down for the city, right? Not necessarily a loss, but
the tax rate that is actually collected by the city is decreased and the total levy is increased by 25,000. So the value of all of the properties within the taxing area have gone up significantly. But we are only allowed by law to collect 1% more tax. So basically the rates decrease for each individual property owner. That doesn't mean that your amount necessarily decreases, because you also have, your assessed value went up. But yeah, the rate goes down.
okay. So it's, as a percentage, it's even less than what we've paid before. So it makes it a difficult decision. But I see the services that we are asking the city to provide as being valuable enough to justify the sacrifice. We ask for things from the city. I've heard many comments about the condition of streets or weeds or whatever, and these taxes can help pay for that sort of thing. I've heard some pretty severe comments about the state of our city from certain individuals, and some of the stuff we just need to be able to hire people to take care of. So I think, from my perspective, I'm going to vote in favor of this, because I think that we can make a good use of these funds, even though it's going to cost me more and everybody else here more. But yet what we get out of it, I think, is going to be a greater benefit than what we pay individually. Further comment from council? So on the considering the adopting an ordinance to approve the ad valorem property tax, what is the desire, council, on this item?
Move to approve the tax increase of 1% of the amount from 2023. Move to approve it for 2024.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Councilor Beeler, second by Councilor Ripley to adopt the ordinance to approve the ad valorem property tax levies for 2024. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
I too vote aye, motion carries. And these are not easy decisions for us to make. We don't like to be the one that's voting in favor of raising taxes, but sometimes it is necessary. Next item on our agenda is the 2024 preliminary budget. Madam City Manager.
So I'd like to present the city manager's budget message for 2024. The total budget expenditures for the fiscal year are $47,320,130, representing a decrease in total expenditures by 2% as compared to the 2023 budget. While there is an overall decrease in spending, this is due to the completion of infrastructure projects and the expenditure of funds received from the federal government due to the coronavirus pandemic, which provided over $5.5 million between 2020 and 2022. Revenues associated with COVID-19 must be committed by December 31st, 2024 and spent by the end of 2026. So I'm going to go over a few of the key budget priorities, and then I will turn it over to Ms. Horner for the meat of the budget. Public safety, it is very much the well-being and safety is paramount. And I know council has expressed that. We are dedicating $15.6 million to support our police, fire, and emergency services, ensuring that our community remains secure and resilient. Parks and Recreation, investing in the future of our youth is an investment in the future of our city. We are allocating $2.2 million to support local youth programs, including after-school programs, youth sports, educational summer camps, and the Sunnyside Community Swimming Pool and city parks. Economic development. In line with our commitment to fostering economic growth and job creation, we have allocated $2.3 million to support initiatives that will attract new business and promote expansion of existing ones. Infrastructure and equipment investment. Our city's infrastructure is the backbone of our community, and it is important that we develop and maintain a reliable and solid foundation for Sunnyside residents. We have allocated $4.5 million to address critical infrastructure needs, including road maintenance, water and sewage systems, public facilities, and the equipment purchases required to maintain the city's assets. Staffing changes. Across all departments, the number of employees funded to provide the city services is 140 full-time employee equivalents and 44 seasonal employees. This represents an increase in staff of 3 FTEs over the current year. The city has made a significant effort to hire, retain, and promote qualified and knowledgeable individuals, which has required adjustments to salary levels with the goal to maintain a competitive edge in the job market. These adjustments in salaries, reclassifications, and additions in staff have increased our budgeted personnel expenses by 11% over the budgeted expenditures for 2023. While the increase in costs is significant, the efforts will encourage higher levels of employee retention and help foster an increased quality of services provided to the community. The upward trend in personnel costs should level out to a rate more consistent with inflation following 2024, when the parity adjustments have been completed throughout the city's collective bargaining agreements. Budget expenditures for salary and benefits for all staff total $19 million for 2024. Staff changes are proposed as followed. Added positions: recreation coordinator, technology support assistant, development technician, lead court clerk. Eliminated positions: assistant fire chief, 1 of 2. Reclassified positions: city clerk / executive assistant to communications director / city clerk. Building inspector, 1 of 2 to deputy development director / fire marshal. And human resources generalist, 1 of 2 to human resources manager. So our financial outlook, this budget is built on a foundation of responsible fiscal management. We have taken into account projected revenue growth, anticipated expenses, and the need for long-term financial stability. We are pleased to report that we anticipate maintaining a balanced budget for fiscal year 2024. And I would like to extend my gratitude to all of those who have committed to the budgetary process, and I'm confident that our collaborative efforts will lead to a prosperous and vibrant future for our city. And with that, I will turn it over to Jameson.
Ms. Horner.
Ms. Horner.
Thank you. I actually don't have much to add, but I am available to answer any questions. I can go over some of the other small changes that were not addressed in the budget message. At the last meeting, the council requested $5,000 be put aside for the Miss Sunnyside float, and we did do that. We added that. There is the potential sale of the Monson property that was omitted from the original preliminary budget. Sorry about that. So that's been added in here. And then just some other clerical corrections, updated information. We've had all of our meetings with the department heads to go over each line item. And so at this point, we feel pretty comfortable with where it's at.
Council members, any questions for either Ms. Alba or Ms. Horner? And I'm sure you've all read this budget from cover to cover.
Do we take the budget we got in the folder and throw it in the garbage and put this in its place? Or is there some that goes back and forth here?
The things behind in your binder behind the red tab and the green tab, I believe are fully replaced. So you can put those new pages in place of the red tab and the green tab.
Red and green? Okay.
Yes.
Right here, Mr. Farmer, pages 9 through 22.
Okay.
No questions or comments? So I did take the time to actually read this entire budget, and I will tell you that reading a budget is not fun for me. People like Miss Alba and Miss Horner probably do that for recreation, nice relaxing Sunday afternoon. I, however, struggle through that sort of thing. I took my time to read through it. Continue to be pleased with the work that they're doing. We've seen some positive things. They've responded well to comments that council members have made, comments that I had forgotten that we had made, and all of a sudden they appear in the budget. And so taking careful notes and listening, and included in that were comments that we as council members heard from members of the public. So where it's been expressed that certain needs are lacking, that we've made some effort to move in that direction. So we do hear and respond. We may not always respond immediately directly to you, but we do try to make sure things happen. All right, now it says here on my agenda that we're expecting a motion, but I don't believe we are actually here. There's not any kind of a motion predicted. So, all right, thank you for that. And Madam City Manager for that comprehensive preparation. Any questions that anybody may have, please feel free to address us or staff after the meeting. I'm sure they would be delighted to answer your questions. Items from council member, mayor's appointments for boards and commissions. I do have one name for the Community and Economic Development Committee. I believe is that the only one that's come in? Okay, I have not had a chance to meet with Mr. Farmer and Mr. Restucci yet, who is the appointing committee. And so we will make haste to meet and get that position filled. I have spoken with the applicant in person, and so we have made some progress in that. So council request status report. Madam City Manager.
So I'll give you an update on the water tower. I have had Chase reach out with me last week. He has a design that he would like to bring forward to the Art Commission and have the Art Commission vote to bring it forward to City Council. And I think that's the purpose of our Arts Commission. So I would like to have the time to do that. We have contacted HLA and they got the bid from City of Pasco when they last painted their water tower, and it was $130,000. So we're looking probably at more than that now. And there's very few people that paint water towers. So I think there's like 2 in the Northwest. So we'll be working on getting those RFPs out, or RFQs out to get bids on getting that done. And then once we have the Art Commission approve Chase's design, then we will go forward.
Excellent.
And I don't have an update on anything else, I believe.
Okay, council members, any questions on the status report? Does anyone have an item they'd like to add? Mr. Hicks.
We have Spalding that we voted years ago to make a one-way, and we haven't yet. We need to add that on there.
What is it?
Spalding Road. It's not wide enough for two lanes, but it's being used as both ways.
Actually, Mr. Martin can get on that. Sure, and Rawl. Yeah, we'll make it happen. Is it?
Easy fix. I mean, just a sign.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it was voted on by council and approved and then not carried out. And I don't recall the reason for that, but there was a reason that we were told that it wasn't going to be done. But if you do some research on that, we can get that problem solved, because it is true, especially this time of year when it's getting darker and it's harder to see the edge of the road. And then you start driving over that little asphalt berm that's right there. It gets a little bit spooky in a couple of spots. So. All right, so that will be added. All right, item C, other reports, announcements, and or questions by council. And we'll start with Mr. Beeler.
Nothing to report.
Okay,
Nothing to
Mr.
report, Matt.
Hicks, Ms. Ripley.
I went to the YV cog meeting last Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And it was really interesting. Sunnyside represented it, and it was a very nice meeting. There was quite a few mayors and council people there, and I think they enjoyed it.
Very good, yes. Okay, anything else? Okay, Mr. Farmer.
Just to piggyback on the library. I'm amazed every time I go in that building with the history of the building itself and the things that are displayed. It's a real gem and a real jewel for our city. And I think we need to do everything we can to work with the library board in order to keep it where it's at. Make people want to come, make people, when they come, they know they've been someplace. And I was very happy with the results of the people that came and
Councilman Farmer,
yes,
you mean museum and not library?
I mean museum.
Okay.
Did I say library?
You did.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. And I would agree with Mr. Farmer in his comments about the museum. Thank you to the board and all of those who are looking so carefully into options and what we can do to maintain that as a part of our community. Because it is an important part of our community. And so I thank you for the work that you are doing and that you are going to be doing, because it sounds like you're making a 2-year commitment to totally revamp this and rethink the whole thing. So I wish you well on that. And if we can be of help, please ask, and we will look for ways to contribute to the solutions that are necessary. For myself, like Ms. Ripley, I was also at the YV COG meeting. The Yakima Valley Council of Governments has been in existence for many years, and it is a way for local communities to work together. The councils of each community in the valley sends representatives to the YV COG meetings. And this month it was on Sunnyside to host it. We hosted it at our community center. It was well attended. Staff went out of their way to make it absolutely a brilliant presentation. We had a number of very, very positive comments from attendees. It was great for them all to be there and got to showcase our city a little bit. And it was very evident because it was at the community center that we're doing things, because South First Street is kind of torn up with the new gas line going in. So they saw that we are hopefully making progress in things. So yeah, that's what I attended. And as I mentioned earlier, regrettably, I was unable to make the museum open house, but I'm pretty excited about the prospects of what we're going to be doing there. So. Right, upcoming council meetings, Madam City Manager.
And I will defer to City Clerk Renteria.
Okay, on the screen, you have the upcoming meetings. The next meeting is November 6th. It's our workshop, but we don't have any items on that. So it'll just be the police and fire swearing in ceremony. I have a number from Chief Layman and he has 6. And so I'm still waiting for Chief Hobrick to let me know how many he will have. November 13th is a regular meeting. It'll be a public hearing for the 2024 budget. November 27th, a second public hearing for that budget. And then council will be considering adopting an ordinance for 2024 budget and the classification and compensation schedule, as well as the official newspaper for next year.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, council members. If there's anything that needs to be added to the budget, please get that to the manager or myself as soon as possible so that can be added to a future agenda. All right, the next item is items from department heads. Madam City Manager.
And I'm actually going to go first tonight. I would like to address one of the items brought forward by Monica Niemeyer. She stated that the insurance for Sunshine Days was turned in. Recently, we had training from our insurance agency about what those certificates are supposed to look like and where those items are supposed to be in the boxes. Annette Dada, Raul Sanchez's assistant, she is the one that puts those together. The item that was turned in for the insurance for Sunshine Days was improperly filled out and did not have the correct endorsements. Repeatedly, staff tried to get a hold of the event organizer and was unsuccessful. When it finally was resolved, our insurance still did not like what was on there, but we accepted it anyway because we wanted the event to be able to be continued. We have a string of emails, if you would like to see those, showing the insurance's replies and the back and forth with the actual insurance provided from the promoter. So we had to go to the insurance agency to get something updated. So that is why, yes, you may have an email saying it was turned in, but what was turned in was improperly filled out.
I'm allowed to reply, so I guess we're going to leave it.
We're not going to have a dialogue at this point. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right.
And then my next items, I did want to say we did do the YB dinner. It was very well done. All of the food that was left over went to Rod's house. And speaking of Rod's house, I want to let you know that they are having some issues with some things, and one of them is providing their meals. It gets quite expensive. So you can go to mealtrain.com and sign up to basically buy a meal for them. So tomorrow I purchased all the ingredients for chili dogs and chips and pop and delivered it tonight after I got off work. And let me tell you, they're very grateful for that. And then Ray, the director, reached out to me and they're trying to have a trunk or treat vehicle next Monday, but they're not allowed to go out and don't really honestly have money to buy candy. So they would like to know if the community could donate candy so they can do a trunk or treat. And with Ray, they're trying to get more involved in community events and give back to the community. So I just wanted to bring those two things up. And then at the beginning of the meeting, I passed out little cards for our animal shelter. We are planning, we have some drawings preliminary. We're going to meet this week with HLA and actually do a site tour to make sure we're getting it in the right place and we have all the stuff we need. And I just want to say that this is a real need in our city. It's not something we can let go anymore. We've got to really do this. And I think if all of us work together, you know, even if we can just give $5, it'll help. And we are looking for grants to do this. So, and it's not cheap, but it's a real need. And we're hoping to have our animal control officer on duty and ready to be going November 1st. So we've conducted interviews and I think selected our final candidate. And in addition, I'm going to rain on Mr. Lehman's parade, but we have had Toppenish reach out to us and they would like us to do animal control services for their city. We're planning on declining right now because we want to make sure we get our program up and running and get our city off to a good start. We already have a partnership with Grandview and we would take them on before we would take on Toppenish because it would acquire additional equipment and additional people. So at this point, that's kind of where we're at with that. And now I will turn it over to Chief Lehman.
Good evening. I've got a couple of things. First, I'll give you some stats. So between September 11th and today, we've handled 1,122 incidents, conducted 258 traffic stops. We've had 109 arrests, 75 criminal non-traffic, 39 criminal traffic. 2 non-traffic infractions and 82 traffic infractions issued. Year to date, we've handled 7,427 incidents. Conducted 1,957 traffic stops, 690 arrests, 506 criminal non-traffic arrests, 324 traffic arrests, 10 infractions non-traffic, 917 traffic infractions, and aggravated assaults year to date from last year are down 25%. Burglary, breaking and entering down 41%. Motor vehicle theft down 47%. Robberies down 80%. Simple assaults down 11%. Theft from motor vehicle down 38%. Theft of motor vehicle parts or accessories down 60%. And weapons violations are down 19%. Talking about staffing at the police department, because I know that's always brought up. We are down 7 positions. Those positions are funded. Our difficulty has been, we'll have about 12 people apply, and then we try to confirm them for the test date. We'll have 4 or 5 confirmed. And then we've had a couple of tests with 2 people show up when we're expecting 6 or 7. We have 1 person that has their final stage of testing tomorrow with a psychologist. We plan on bringing that person on. We have about 20 applicants for a test on November 4th. So that's open until Friday. So if anybody knows anybody, encourage them to apply. And we're hoping to get, we've got 6 positions to fill off of that list if we get qualified applicants. The issue is it does take about a year to put somebody on the road from the day they start, at least before they're functioning on their own. So October 30th, next Monday, there's no council meeting. It's a Monday night. So you're all ready for a council meeting. You don't have one. So we have trunk or treat. We have as many or more trunks signed up than our first year in 2011. The trunk or treat will be downtown. I've been meeting with several candidates that have requested to meet with me. I want to invite all of you on ride-alongs. If you've never done one, come out, see what we do. We'd be more than happy to share with you. We applied for a grant for ballistic helmets for patrol officers. We received $15,000 from the GISA Heroes grant. So we'll be buying ballistic helmets for officers. We have 2 officers in SWAT training this week. So that the team's ready to go first of the year. The ILA that I brought to you for SWAT that you approved has been approved by all cities now and is out getting signed. I think there's only 1 city left that needs a sign, but it was approved by their council. And this last week I attended the museum open house. The last thing I have is the request by Deputy Mayor Restucci for incidents at places that serve liquor here in town, so liquor licenses. So Vegas Sports Bar has accounted for 30 incidents or 29.7% of our calls at liquor establishments. La Fogata has 24 incidents year to date or 23% of our calls to liquor establishments. Hobbies has 18 calls or 17%. Blue Moon 13 calls, 12%. Dark Horse, 9 calls, 8.9%, and Igley Sports Bar is 7 calls for 6.9%. 101 calls year to date at places with a liquor license approved by the city. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And in the brief absence of Ms. Alba, Ms. Horner.
Thank you. Just to give a brief update, we did meet with the International Association of Firefighters regarding their health insurance, and they proposed a plan provided by the IAFF. The city has agreed to that plan, so we should be bringing an agreement to you shortly, hopefully maybe in the next meeting with their insurance carrier to put that insurance into place. We have not had an agreement with the Police Guild yet at this time. So as we get closer to that deadline, we may bring the AWC insurance back to you guys to add the Police Guild, but we'll wait until the last possible minute for them to try and find something that they would like. And also just to advise, this year, we do have 3 collective bargaining agreements that are currently in negotiations. That's the clerical, the public works, and the firefighters. collective bargaining agreements. So we're just in the early stages for bargaining each of those contracts. And we'll keep you updated.
Thank you. Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you. So I just wanted to update you that I don't know if anybody noticed yet out there, but 6th Street project started back up today. So that's projected for about 2 weeks of work to get that completed. And then the street will be opened up again. Thank you.
So may I ask you a question? Okay, a couple of years ago, we resurfaced South First Street, Midvale Road, did a brilliant job rebuilding that road. It was great. Now it's all torn up because of the new gas line. The new asphalt work isn't going to win prizes by anyone's account. I'm hearing all kinds of complaints about that's just a horrible patch job. Is there a way we can get them to make that better?
Yeah, I can take a look and see. I know that they did ask, because obviously on our standard specs, it calls for a 3 inches to put it back, and we've been making them put everything back. At some areas, it's as deep as 9 inches. And so they've been following that, but I'll look into that.
Is there some of those, the cuts are really ugly. They're rough when you go over it. And if it starts that way, it's not going to take very long to deteriorate into a massive pothole. And I'd just like to get ahead of that before it starts to be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Right, so just some quick stats. We've been kind of, since we've been shifting our software, we've kind of been getting stuff all caught up in our OpenGov software. In the last month and a half, we've had 60 code enforcement violations that have been logged, and then 15 that are currently 45 closed and 15 that are open. And again, we're just currently working on those. The city is applying for there's a mandated grant that has come through the Department of Commerce for a climate resilience element for the comprehensive plan. It's a mandated element that's coming forward from the Department of Commerce. We basically just have to ask for the money and we get it. So we're submitting our application for it. You will see, the city council will see it before we do anything with it as we after everything's handed out. But we should be getting that relatively soon here. I just applied for it today. And then I just got word that Sunnyside's making some more waves throughout the country. In fact, that the USDA has, I don't know all the details, but I just mentioned it, or somebody just mentioned it briefly to me today, but the Catholic Charities Project that is on Allen Road, they qualified for some really, really competitive grant money from the USDA. So they will be acknowledged federally for their project that they're doing down there relatively soon. So that's really great to hear. And that, Sunnyside's making waves in the world. So I'm happy to hear that.
Mr. Riley.
Nothing at this time unless anyone has any questions or concerns.
Any questions for Mr. Riley? No, thank you, sir.
Clerk Rentley.
We are looking into our second records request software. This one is just FOIA, so we will be meeting with them on Thursday. IT and the rest of the court administrator, Vicky and Madi will be participating in that. So that's what we have going on.
And may I take on to what the clerk just said, is that the state has some possible funding opportunities for grants, and I've been having our planner kind of look into those a little bit for you to help you out with that. So.
All right, thank you, everyone. And just a reminder to everyone, the Monday, the November 6th workshop is a swearing in ceremony, and that is an awesome ceremony to attend. We've got police officers and firefighters that will be sworn in and their badges pinned on, and that is a great event for them and their family and the entire crew. And so that is one of the events that I enjoy the most, just getting to meet these individuals and their commitment to serving our community. And their enthusiasm to support one another. So that is really encouraging. So if you can make it, it would be great if you could be there. All right, there being no further business to come before council, and if there's no objection,